Police Superintendent Stephen James, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz, and please welcome the 57th Governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
So I want to thank everyone once again. I feel like we are here every few weeks, which is a great thing for the state of New York. I want to thank all the media that covers these things, because it not only shows that we are holding people accountable in the state of New York, but we are also deterring crime in the future when you get the word out. We are here today to basically show that when a deal seems to be too good to be true, it actually is too good to be true. And we are going to make sure that you're held accountable, and we're going to make sure that we find you. Up with me today here is Governor Kathy Hochul, who has yielded the floor to me to explain exactly how we used the laws that she and the legislature have passed in order to make sure that consumers ahead of Black Friday are safer than they were last week, and I think that's extremely important. We also have New York State Superintendent Steve James. We also have Homeland Security Investigations New York Special Agent in Charge William S. Walker, and I do want to acknowledge all the prosecutors and the detective investigators from my office and throughout the state and the state troopers for the work that they did here. We are here to announce the arrest of 5 individuals who we allege participated in the continuous, systematic, multi-state theft of retail cosmetics, beauty products, designer clothing, and accessories. As we allege, the defendants orchestrated the theft of these products you see here from several states throughout the country on the East Coast, from New York, New Jersey, from Maryland, and from many other states. Then that theft crew brought the mountain of stolen goods to our neighborhood here in New York City, and in this case in the borough of Queens. And they sold them to the general public right back, because we have uncovered one of the largest retail theft operations that this office here in Queens County has ever prosecuted. The defendants stole $2 million of stolen goods, many of which you see right here in front of us. On Friday, November 22nd, our team executed search warrants at the residences in Kew Gardens Hills, Fresh Meadows, and Briarwood, and seized more than $1 million in stolen products right on site at the time of the warrant. The alleged retail theft ring specifically targeted Ulta Beauty, Sephora, Macy's, American Eagle, and other well-known retailers. And I would like to take a moment to thank those retail stores. It is almost impossible to make these cases without the cooperation of the retail stores that are being stolen from. And so I do want to thank them for the people, on behalf of the people of this city, for their cooperation. Stolen products were sold in New York, and they were routinely shipped to the Dominican Republic for sale. And by the way, they were shipped in these barrels that you see right here. And I do want to thank Border Patrol, for helping us find these stolen product. According to the charges, the defendants utilized social media, Instagram, and other online resources to advertise for the stolen goods for sale, both here and for abroad. Right now, we're going to show you some Instagram videos very quickly depicting some advertisements. First, a coming soon notice to attract unsuspecting consumers. Obviously advertising like it was any established business. Next, we have open for business advertisements, and we have a bunch of videos which we can make available to the press, but I'm not going to show all of them. But next we will show open for business, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Guess that was a very short video. The defendants who have been charged in this case are husband and wife Christopher Guzman and Eveles Guzman, Batista. Co-defendants Rosa Santana, by the way, one of the defendants' mothers, Johnny Almont Reyes, and Tiffany Leon Fuentes. They are charged with criminal possession of stolen property in the first degree, 4 counts of criminal possession of stolen property in the second degree, and a bunch of other charges which equal either 1 to 3 years or 8.5 to 25 years. Additionally, 4 of the defendants are charged with fostering the sale of stolen goods, a new law recently signed by and passed by Brad Hoylman, Siegel Hoylman, and signed by Governor Kathy Hochul that has further enhanced our efforts to hold criminal offenders accountable while keeping the public safe. Notably, our belief is that it's the first time that statute has been used in the state of New York, which is why I am grateful that the sponsor and the governor are here today. The defendants were arraigned on November 23rd and are due back in court on January 15th. This is an incredibly organized and dynamic retail theft operation. Nationally, we have seen an uplift of retail theft all over the country. And the other half of that, by the way, is selling the stolen products. So I want you to understand exactly how this was done. This was made from ledgers that are right there on the table, which accurately reflect the buying of stolen properties. This was done by analyzing the bank accounts of the accused in order to make sure that we can follow the money, always follow the money. And this interesting part about this is we also used undercover operations, right? So we had an undercover who actually was assigned by these defendants to steal property. They got a shopping list to steal the property, and then we used other undercovers to buy that property back. And the message there is we're coming to get you. And there's a reason for that. And we have a lot of folks that have joined us, so I'm going to cut a little bit to the chase here. Every time you buy products that you don't know where they are coming from, there is a danger to you. You don't know where these products are from. You don't know if they're moldy. You don't know where they were stored. You don't know if they were stored in some very damp basement. You don't know if they were tampered with by the time they get to you. You have no idea if there's bed bugs on any of the clothes that are being stolen. You have no idea. And the other part of it is it jacks up the prices for those legitimate businesses that are selling these products. So today's one step ahead of Black Friday to send a very clear message. People should be watching the kids that are online. We should make sure we're buying from legitimate businesses. And ahead of Black Friday, if it seems too good to be true, I guarantee you it's too good to be true. Next, I want to point out that the governor and the sponsors' laws helped us with the retail theft prosecution. It also helped us, one of the defendants had ghost guns there. Those right now are plastic ghost guns, and they will lead, if not gotten and not found, to destruction because they will be built into guns. And 2 years ago, the governor and the legislature passed a law which allowed the prosecution of those ghost guns, which were not put together yet. And right now, I would like to thank the governor for joining us today, and I welcome Governor Kathy Hochul to the podium.
Thank you. Good morning, and I want to thank all of you for joining us here today because this is a public awareness moment. We're hoping that the audience that sees what is going on here today will understand how vulnerable they are to fraud and to possibly be purchasing stolen goods. And I want to thank the district attorney, Melinda Katz, we've worked together with for over a decade in pursuit of lifting up the lives of all New Yorkers, particularly here in Queens, but also keeping them safe. My number one priority as governor is to keep our citizens safe and also protect our businesses, our local businesses. So I want to thank the individuals who are here today, our district attorney, Stephen James, our superintendent of state police. I want to thank you for working so closely with me. When we see a problem, we don't talk about it in Albany. We find a solution. We show up. We give the resources, the personnel, whatever they need on the ground to help solve problems. So today, you are witnessing government in action. We have heard a lot about retail theft and these organized crime rings. It may not seem like a state problem. It is a local government problem, except we have the resources to do more. And I want to thank you for helping us see that and to make sure that you have the men and women who are trained, the professionals who are making a difference every single day. Also, we are joined by the Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, William Waker. You're going to be hearing from him in a couple of minutes. I do this with the support of great legislators. I want to thank my partners in government here, Senator Brad Hoylman, Senator Leroy Comrie. Thank you for being here. You are the ones who get this over the finish line, and I'm so grateful for that. Assembly Member Catalina Cruz is here as well. I want to thank her, and I want to thank our new member. Tell me. Melinda Holtz. Okay, great. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations, and all those who've joined us as well that I may not have seen. Listen, this is going to be real simple. We've had enough with criminals preying on our citizens. We are sick and tired of our citizens feeling they're vulnerable to whether it's random crimes on the streets or whether it's these sophisticated organized crime rings. And we are coming after you. This is evidence of what cooperation looks like when we in Albany say, we can do this. We put $40 million, a huge commitment of resources, behind the effort to eradicate retail theft in the state of New York. Why? Because I sat down with small business owners. I sat down with leaders like Tom Gresh and others who represent the business community. I sat down with bodegas. I sat down with them, and they are tired of feeling like they're not being listened to, and they wanted change. So we heard them. We responded. That's our job. We passed stronger laws. We made sure that we could crack down on organized retail theft. As I mentioned, $40 million, what did that get us? 100 more state police officers dedicated to what you see here today. And this was primarily a state police operation, working with our locals and the federal government. I want to thank them as well. But this is the first ever joint operation on retail theft. First ever. This is the creative thinking that goes behind effective law enforcement. We also passed stronger laws to protect our retail workers. I saw enough videos from online store footage of seeing people behind a counter literally assaulted in a brazen attack, sometimes in broad daylight. And they're so vulnerable, especially if they're the only person in the store or the gas station where this often happened. We also wanted to prosecute the criminal middlemen who fence, transport, and resell the stolen items. So as I mentioned, we're here today to talk about results, but there's many more results to come. And this office has been so aggressive in pursuing and using the laws that we've given you the power now and the resources. Again, this is a tremendous accomplishment here today. But this operation, $2 million, look at this, everyone. This is not a sale for Black Friday. This is what people were trying to put into people's hands that were stolen from legitimate businesses. And that is unfair. Their costs are high enough. We do not want to put them at a disadvantage and make them lose so much money every single year. And there is a huge cost to that. Billions of dollars are lost every year because of stolen goods. And we're saying no longer. We've had enough of this. So we're going to continue these efforts. Again, I will talk about state police, NYPD, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, our Homeland Security investigators, and the local governments, our Queens DA's office. Today is a testament to what happens when you have leadership in government that sees a problem, says we must solve it, pull together the legislature, work closely with them, and to deliver the resources here on the ground. Because, again, we're not taking this anymore. There's more of us than you. We're going to make sure we have the resources to do everything at our disposal to shut you down once and for all. And because this money back in people's pockets, because costs are going up. Costs go up in a store when they have to recover the loss that they don't make on the stolen goods. Think about that. The families that are struggling, trying to put food on the table, especially as we come to needing a lot of food this Thursday. It's going to be an expensive day for people. Their costs should not be higher because thieves stole goods and had to force the owners of the stores to drive up their costs on the products. So U.S. businesses roughly lose about $100 billion a year. And again, that gets passed on to consumer. And it's estimated that the average family pays $500 more a year due to the impact of organized retail theft. I want people to feel safe. I want people walking into a bodega, a shop, restaurants. I want them to feel safe. Every New Yorker deserves that foundational feeling of security. And we are going to continue doing everything we can to deliver it. People should be able to shop this weekend wherever they're going to start their holiday gift giving and shopping. Go into there with the assurance that you will not be caught in the middle of a crime spree. And I want people to be able to buy toothpaste without having a store clerk have to unlock it for them. Those days should be over. We're investing the money, investing the resources, and delivering the commitment to solve this problem once and for all. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart to the hardworking men of the DA's offices around our state, the law enforcement who get up there every day and do this unseen, unrecognized, but making a real difference. And I'm grateful to every single one of you. With that, I'd like to introduce my great partner in protecting the people of this state, our Superintendent of Police, Stephen James.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, District Attorney Katz. Governor, I certainly appreciate and I thank the support that you've been providing the New York State Police so that we can fulfill this mission. This is a startling case, certainly in scope and in size. It's an example of how the organized crime theft ring, as the governor said, victims, retailers, and all New Yorkers. The suspects arrested in this case, without a doubt, they don't care about the damage that they've inflicted. They didn't care about the actions of driving up the price for the rest of us. They blatantly broke the law to make money. Now, certainly this was a complex investigation that was months in the making. I'm proud of the hard work and the tenacity of the members of the Special Investigations Unit and all of our partners, all of the work that they put forth to bring this case before you. It underscores our combined commitment to fighting organized retail theft. So just briefly, I'll tell you, earlier this year, at the governor's direction, we spearheaded a collaborative effort to disrupt the dramatic increase in retail theft. We worked with retailers, our national and local partners, to open up lines of communication to identify the problems that they were enduring. We engaged our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners in this endeavor. Since March, this effort has resulted in the arrest of more than 612 suspects and recovered more than $163,000 in stolen goods, just to the full spectrum as it's occurring in various parts of New York State. But we're not done. To the criminals who are planning to target retailers during this holiday season, we're most certainly watching. We remain fully engaged, and we will even catch you, basically, and we'll hold you accountable as we have these individuals here. I also want to emphasize again that this has been a joint effort with our partners, a lot in a short period of time. I thank our partners. I'm appreciative of the effort. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce one of our prominent partners, Special Agent in Charge, Homeland Security.
Good afternoon. Thank you, District Attorney Katz. Thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you, Superintendent James. My name is Bill Walker. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, for the New York Field Office. And I just wanted to provide a few very brief remarks today. You've heard today about the impacts of organized retail crime. Losses to the industry of $4 billion since 2021. This type of crime serves a low-risk, high-reward income stream for domestic and transnational criminals. But it's not without its impact to the public. Estimates reveal organized retail crime costs federal and state governments nearly $15 billion in lost tax revenue, which impedes government services to our communities. And the average American family is estimated to pay over $500 more annually in additional costs due to the impact of organized retail crime. And that's why cases like this one are so important. And that's why partnerships are so important. HSI's Border Enforcement Security Task Force, or BEST, and our trade enforcement and interdiction groups target transnational criminals by investigating the illicit goods that pass through our borders and tracking them all the way back to the source. And working with our partners at Customs and Border Protection, we target and prevent stolen goods from being exported to foreign markets that would inevitably continue the cycle of crime. Doing so led this coalition of partners standing here today to the defendants arrested in this case. These investigative successes were the result of a strong partnership between HSI New York and our law enforcement counterparts, the New York State Police, the Queens District Attorney's Office, the New York City Police Department, and CBP. When our partners call, HSI answers, and we will do so every day with the unwavering goal of keeping New Yorkers safe from threats to our neighborhoods and our livelihood. Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, on topic, as we were going through this, I was trying to get through it a little quicker to get to the governor and to also acknowledge our great legislators that were here. But I do want to thank, if I can take privilege for a second, my team of Jennifer Nyberg as the chief assistant, but Shannon LaCourt, who has spent months on this, months on this, and David Chang, and of course Jerry Brave, and our whole team. But I will tell you also, the governor has stationed 2 state troopers here for us to utilize and them to help us to help them on a daily basis. And it truly has been an amazing benefit to the city and to the state that they are working with us every single day. And I want to thank her for that. And I also want to explain just for a second what happened. So those ledgers there, the Guzmans would ask for something to be stolen, right? Allegedly, for something to be stolen. They would, the folks that went out to Ulta or to Macy's or to Sephora would steal them. Then they would bring them back with that ledger, and they would get paid for that product. Then the defendants would either sell them on social media or in the retail store. Half of the products you're seeing literally fell off the truck, right? So they were sold, and they were gotten in boxes from the warehouses of these same stores and never made it to the retail store. And so they were being sold after, there's a saying out there, but in this case it happens to be true. They fell off the truck. And so we are still in investigation how that actually happened. But I wanted to make sure that I was clear onto how this happened. And I want to thank the legislators, because the legislators and the governor saw problems. They responded to the issues, and they made sure that we had the tools to combat it. And you should really be congratulated, and I thank you for that. We will take on-topic questions, and then afterwards you're going to do off-topic later in a little bit.
DA, what would this have looked like if this law didn't go into effect already? Because this basically gives you guys another crime to charge these people with, right? So what would it have looked like, say, a year ago or 2 years ago if you were doing this investigation?
So if we were doing this investigation a few years ago, and I can ask Shannon to complete, whatever I leave out. If we were doing this a year or 2 ago, the law that the legislature passed last year would have allowed us to see online. For instance, you know that a bottle of cologne costs you $130. And online, you see on Instagram or on Facebook that it's being sold for $30. Right? That would have given us, and this law ostensibly would have given us the probable cause to be able to get search warrants and find the products and find the defendants who were selling them for such an unbelievable, and again, if it's too good to be true, it is, at such an unbelievable loss. And that would have given us those tools to be able, this law gives us the tools to be able to follow up in that way, which we couldn't have really done before. Sure. The law is, it allows us to be able to go in and get search warrants on the probable cause that someone is selling online products that we have reason to believe are illegally obtained.
And you mentioned the trucks. How far off, how widespread do you think this occurred, either in storefronts or a warehouse?
So we think about $1 million worth of the products were off the trucks. And the warehouses can't account for it, right? So the retailers, and again, once again, I want to make it clear that these products have nothing to do with the retailers. The retailers are well established, Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, and other retailers that are well established and are in the chain. of selling the product. But if go ahead.
Essentially, there is no business relationship, as we allege it,
Right.
between these defendants and either the manufacturers, wholesalers, or the retailers. So many of the products, as the DA said, are being diverted from warehouses going direct to our defendants, while the other set are being stolen from brick and mortar retailers by booster crews, including some that we've charged in this case, and brought back to Queens for resale. So
And-
it's two different streams of
Right.
revenue here.
And excuse me for not answering directly on my own, but at this point, it's still under investigation. The truth is. And so how it fell off the truck, how it got here, all of that is still under investigation.
Can I add something to that?
Sure, of course.
I also want to add, this is a large-scale operation, but think about the individual thefts that occur in the drugstores on your corner. We also changed the law. So an individual who is stealing from multiple stores, instead of having it be over $500 per store, we could aggregate it. We changed the law last year to say as long as the cumulative effect of what you've done on your crime spree over perhaps a number of stores adds up to $1,000, that is a felony. That has stricter consequences, and that's how we start shutting this down. So those are the smaller, perhaps, than this, but also is empowering to support our local small businesses that are just being, harassed and having to deal with this, and we're making a real difference in those numbers now.
Yes.
Situation like this and the fact that you've been able, as the superintendent of police have said, you've done operations like this around the state. I think you said 612 people were arrested. Does this send a message to your critics that you're not soft on crime?
I don't know who they would be because all they have to do is look at the record, look at what has happened with crime in 3 years. Number of crimes down to historic lows, shooting, murders down to 1960s levels, subway crime lower than it's been before the than it was before the pandemic. There are some areas where it spikes up, and so I want to be very honest about this. We've made great success in our tougher gun laws, getting ghost guns off the street, our red flag laws. I mean, we are first in the nation by far of any state that has done more to protect its citizens by getting these guns off the streets and out of the hands of people who could do harm to others. But when we see spikes in areas, we become very surgical. This is how I use my state police. We had a rise in car thefts last year in places like Buffalo and Rochester in particular, some of the highest in the nation. So what do? We pull together resources. I put my people on the ground. We give them license plate readers. We give them scanners. We give them all the resources they need. And guess what? The thefts have plummeted. So this is another area. It started going up, not just the small, the ones you hear more about when you go into the local stores, but also these massive operations. So then we decided last year, $40 million, give money for security cameras for the stores in particular, help them out, give them a tax break, bring in more resources, 100 police officers. So this is how my model of law enforcement is. I'm there to support localities with amped up resources whenever there's a particular problem that goes up, and then we knock it down. And that's how I've been approaching this very successfully.
Governor, does the change in law that made it less of a crime for thefts of less than $900 kind of spur on this kind of organized effort where people are sending out literally gophers to go collect in small batches and bring back to a large distributor? And is that why this law needed to be changed to add that the cumulative effect will now be, used against the people stealing little batches of?
No, we did that independently. I mean, that was a whole different problem where you had the smaller retail rings and they were only going into a store, maybe stealing, $150, $200 here. So it was hard for our prosecutors to be able to literally throw the book at these people in a meaningful way that stopped them from doing it again. And I wanted to make sure that they had all the tools they need. This is a fight I took up last year. And I wanted to make sure that we had the laws changed to toughen them so we are on the winning end of these battles with the criminals instead of the losing end. So that's why that was changed.
In this, in this particular case, so yes, that is another law that has been an incredible tool to us to be able to aggregate the thefts that are happening. You know, there's nothing more frustrating for people when they're standing in line waiting to pay their bill and someone walks in with a knapsack and takes things. And so the legislature and the governor have responded to that with a different law. But in this particular case, just so you know, one of the defendants, named Tiffany, went into Ulta Beauty Store and stole in Maryland. And she stole $1,700 worth of cosmetics and perfumes. The same day, she delivered the products to the Fresh Meadows location. She then, on November 7th and November 9th, went to New Jersey and stole $2,800 worth of product and delivered those stolen goods to Fresh Meadows as well. So these were a larger amount. These were orders that were put in by the defendants. And as you see in front of you, there is a lot of the same product in a large amount of numbers.
When you talk about the gangs that actually steal this or they interact with the warehouse manager or the truck driver, I mean, how do you get them, the people who are actually providing this material, to the people that you charge? I mean, you talk about this one woman, Tiffany, stealing, you know, $1,200, whatever, but we're talking about large hauls here. So
Yes.
who is involved in the large haul? Who provides this stuff for the people who fence it?
So in this ring, there are several participants. One is what's called boosters. They walk into a store. They will steal, like the one defendant is alleged to have done. They will steal $1,000 worth of product, $2,000 worth of product. Many of that is listed on those ledgers that are in front of you, just so you know if you'd like to see them. They probably shouldn't look through them, but they can see one of the ledgers there. Then they will go to the Guzmans in this particular case, who are the alleged defendants here. They will get paid for those products. Normally those products are they're getting paid about 10% of the retail value, about 10% of the retail value. Then what will happen is that they then will turn around and sell them online or sell them in one of the retail establishments either here in Queens, in this particular case, or in the Dominican Republic. So it's like I said, very intricate. But they make their money by having several boosters, people in the stores, taking several of the products off the shelves.
One more. Are you considering getting rid of the $900 threshold rule instead of giving prosecutors more kind of leeway to do these prosecutions?
Anybody want to answer that?
It's a legal question.
It's illegal, what?
Legislative.
Right now, we are given the tools that we need in order to make more of these busts than we did a year ago or 2 years ago. I think we can talk to the legislature about it, but right now we want to keep our eye on the ball. Right now, consumers are safer over Black Friday. Right now, the products that are in front of you will hopefully not be more expensive because of this takedown. Right now, we have 5 defendants being held accountable because they went out and stole from people while hardworking men and women are trying to buy these products from the stores. So we're going to keep our eye on the ball, and we're going to make sure that these folks are held accountable and that anyone else who wants to sell online understands that we're watching, that we're looking, and that we are going to make sure that they can't fool the people of New York State.
So if the people who are stealing the products get 10% on the dollar, how much of the products sold for in terms of their actual?
So we believe that the retail selling price by the defendants were about 65 to 70% of the retail price, right? So, you know, you buy it's $100 in a CV, you know, in a store. You pay $10 to the booster for it. You sell it for $60-something. The consumer saves $30 to $40 on that. And the retail stores and the consumers who go into the stores and buy them, you know, from a valid retailer are the ones that pay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come with us.
See, this is because sometimes they'll ask me other questions.
weather. It's holiday time, it's New York, and there's a storm brewing. This is not foreign to us. It seems to hit every time New Yorkers want to get on the road and spend time with their families, and Mother Nature is not showing any mercy once again this year. So let's give an update. If you're going to the North Country or live in the North Country, we're looking at 8 inches of snowfall. Great news for the skiers. Can't wait to hit the slopes, but it's going to be a shock to the system because it's the first major snow of the season. Albany and west along the 190 corridor, where everybody's going to be traveling, including my family. A few inches of snow mixed in with rain. And downstate, luckily, rain only. And coming off a drought, that actually sounds pretty good. We're asking people to monitor their local forecasts, make sure everyone exercises caution. But another part of the state I did not mention is Western New York. Lake effect snow is heading our way. That's something we're ready for. I've already spoken to the mayor of Buffalo. New mayor, I said we are here. Keep us all on speed dial. It's important that we can help you in so many ways. I've already put the National Guard on alert. We've also been ready to deploy 5,500 utility crews around the state. I have hundreds of personnel ready to spring into action from DOT, the Thruway Authority, wherever we need the help. And so we're going to be there on the ground. Something we're very familiar with. We know how to handle it. But again, unfortunate timing, but those who get to stay home, just hunker down, watch some football.
All right, let's start with any questions about retail theft before we move on. We solved it. Okay, off topics. We'll start with Byrne and make our way around.
Governor, yesterday Congressman Richie Torres went on New York One and he called you ineffective relating to a number of areas and how you've handled the congestion pricing debacle as well as public safety. He also compared you last week to President Joe Biden in a negative light. I'm wondering, what's your response to that? And also, your Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado, wrote an op-ed last week where he said the Democratic Party needs new leadership. He didn't reference you by name. And I'm wondering if you think he was talking about you.
No, I will say this. I just met him a couple days before. We're working closely together. But what I'm focused on is what we're doing here today. Protecting New Yorkers, protecting public safety. I happen to have responsibility for governing the 10th largest economy in the world, the 4th largest state, and I'm a little busy working on reducing costs for New Yorkers, putting more money back in their pockets. Just this past week, we announced 800,000 children can get health insurance. We signed Melanie's Law to protect victims of domestic violence. We reduced the cost of prescription drugs. So you look at what someone does in the course of a week, that's what I did this past week. So we're mobilized, we're working hard to deliver good government for the people of New York and those who have government jobs, who aren't focused on their jobs and are more focused on an election that's almost 2 years off. I would think their constituents might have a problem with that, but I'm here working for the people who put me in office.
But Governor, he's had a couple days to take, shots at you, and your team really hasn't responded, or they have in a statement. That silence, do you think that that's deafening, and could that be perceived as weakness on your part?
No, it's perceived as I'm doing my job. If I'm going to get out there and swat back every little comment that's made about me in the next 2 years, I'm not using my time effectively. For people who are in campaign mode, I'm in governing mode, and that's where I'm going to stay.
Morgan?
Now, Congressman Torres, he also mentioned that you would be set up to lose if, for example, if Mike Lawler were to run, referencing congestion pricing. Now, Lawler is already campaigning on that issue. He has announced he would run. But do you feel like, are you going to start up your efforts now to sort of campaign against people like Mike Lawler?
I'm governing, and I'm addressing the issues that are of concern to people. People in the Hudson Valley, you know what they're talking about? Making sure that they have reliable Metro North service. Our congestion pricing plan will put $9 billion of investment in that area alone. The vast majority of people from that area who work in the city, who work in the central business district, they come in on public transportation. I want to reassure them that I'm going to make the investments in a 100-year-old system that need to be made, and I figure out a solution that's lower cost than would have been, 40% lower, because I said months ago, $15 is too much. We reduced it to $9, going into effect January 5th, and I'm going to make sure that we serve all the people of this metropolitan area with highly effective, successful public transportation. That's what they need.
Okay, Timmy?
Governor, do you worry that by ignoring these concerns from your colleagues in the Democratic Party, you were doing effectively the same thing that Joe Biden did in dismissing concerns? And if not, how is what you're doing different? Can you respond substantively to any of the critiques from Congressman Torres?
No, because I don't think they're valid.
All right, next question. Marcia?
What was that?
How is what you're doing different than when Joe Biden dismissed concerns about his reelection? It seems like people are asking you not to run for reelection. and
One
you're starting-
person is giving an opinion that I'm running for election, but not now. I'm governing. I'm doing my job.
Do you worry the polls aren't on your side? Why do you think that they're so low?
I'm not poll driven. I'm driven by results. Results look like what we did here today. So someone can say, oh, you're not doing enough on public safety. Really? Really? This is what it looks like. And so
Constituents aren't
You gotta let the governor finish. This isn't a debate.
this is what it looks like. This is how you deliver for New Yorkers. And I'm really excited about what I've been spending a number of months on, which is putting together our State of the State plan, which when we launch that, people are going to understand that we not only heard them, we're acting on what we heard. And they want more money back in their pockets. And that's what I'm going to be delivering on in a very short couple of months.
Marcia?
Governor, Congressman Torres, who, as you know, is going to launch a listening campaign because he wants to run for governor, has written a letter to you where he calls you and the mayor complicit in the murder of 3 people by a person by the name of Ramon Rivera, who stabbed 3 people. And he says, among other things, he's blaming state laws that have prevented him from being sentenced consecutively instead of just for 1 term, and that's why he was out on the street. I wonder if you would like to respond to him directly and his charges that you and the mayor are complicit in the fact that these 3 people were stabbed by this man who was out on the street.
No, I'm going to just say this. I'm not politicizing that tragedy. I refuse to politicize what was a horrific attack, destroying families just before the holidays. I cannot imagine their loved ones and what they're going to go through on this Thanksgiving when there's an empty seat at the table. That is painful to me. But I will say this. Yes, the city system failed. Why people are let out of Rikers when they've assaulted a corrections officer, I said this last week. That's a failure of the system. And we have changed our laws in the state of New York, and no governor in our history has invested more in mental health services than I have. Over $1 billion. Our system is functioning in a way that was not operational just 3 years ago. What am I talking about? We have over 700 people that were chronically homeless with mental health problems on the streets of New York and in our subways. Guess where they are now? Because of what I worked on with the mayor, bringing state resources. They're in supportive housing. I've opened up 1,000 hospital beds, mental health beds that have been shuttered. Now there's a place to go for people to get the care they need. That's what I'm talking about. It's more fun to have a big headline, something splashy, but there's no substance behind it. And that's what I encourage the media to analyze. What is the true story here? And not take the bait, but look at the real record of what we've done in these areas, because I'm not done, but I know we've come a hell of a long way from where we were when I took office 3 years ago.
The question is this: are you upset that, given all the things that you have done, that he is now using this crime as sort of a springboard to a gubernatorial campaign?
I actually don't care what he's doing.
Kevin?
So this is not about that. Governor, the congestion pricing that you were just referring to, what do you think the possibility that President-elect Trump will cut funding, federal funding, to New York State to basically kill this, which he has vowed to kill congestion pricing?
You know, that's a time will tell, but I have mentioned a couple of times that I had a very good conversation with President-elect Trump about our shared goal to invest in public transit in New York City. He, among anyone who's ever been a president, understands how important the whole metropolitan transit system is for our region. He's an employer here. His employees come in on public transit. He knows we have to keep investing, doing what others did not do in the past, which is look at a 100-year-old challenge and say, I'm going to do something instead of kicking it down the road. That's a lot easier. It would have been a lot easier for me to say, we'll deal with this in a few years, but I'm not that kind of governor. I said, we'll do what we have to do now, to get the money, $15 billion, and the next capital plan. So I hope we can form a partnership when it comes to shared priorities, like making sure that New York City and New York State thrive. And part of that is investing in public transportation.
Okay, last one, Rebecca.
Governor, Bruce Blakeman in Nassau County has said Nassau County is not a sanctuary county. We're going to cooperate with ICE. Do you have any plans on, ways that the state might approach the president's plans for mass deportation? Is New York as a whole, under your leadership, a sanctuary state? And I believe that there's a coalition of governors akin to your climate leadership governor coalition focused on protecting immigrants. Is that something that you'd consider joining?
Well, I would say this. Our immigration system is woefully broken. It's been broken for decades. There was an opportunity to make meaningful change that the Republicans in the House of Representatives killed, and they should be held accountable for that. But we need to fix the border, fix the system. But I'll tell you this. Those who come here legally, we want to get them jobs. I have 460,000 open jobs in the state of New York. I want them to get the proper work permits. I want them to keep their temporary protective status, if that's what they have. I want to make sure that they're part of contributing to society while they're here. That's separate from people who are criminals. Someone breaks the law, I'll be the first one to call up ICE and say, get them out of here. So there is a difference in categories of individuals. And so I just had a meeting this morning with my team that's been studying all the scenarios that could play out over the next few months and what we need to do to prepare. We'll be announcing more about that. And also making sure that our final requests to the Biden administration are secure. And so that's something else, again, I'll do a report on what we've achieved in the next couple of weeks.
So just to be clear, are you supportive or not supportive of deporting undocumented immigrants whose only crime is either crossing the border or overstaying?
If they're here with legal papers, like they came and they're seeking asylum, like the 224,000 people came to New York, they're here legally in search of asylum. And that process will play out. But there are other people who commit crimes or are known to be criminals before they arrived here. When those are identified, I'll be the first one to help get rid of them. I don't want them here. I don't want anybody terrorizing my citizens. So that's the difference. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving is right.
Go Bills. We're walking out past you guys.